All right, you guys, welcome to the Hungry for More call. Today, we have our man, Alexander Strate, joining us. His agency this past month in April did over $700,000 in issue paid business. He's an executive vice president here at Family First Life, and he's just a great dude. So Alex, you on there, my man?
I am. How are you doing, Julius?
I'm good, man. Thanks for joining us today. Pleasure having you on. How are you feeling about your April results so far?
It's I mean, it was an amazing month, and it's 100%. It's not me, it's we kind of thing, and it's just rising tide raises all ships. When you got a good system, you got a good business model, and you just put in the work, it's hard not to make money in a company like this. So it's I mean, you guys are winning, company as a whole is winning, and it's just like if you're just plugged in and actually working, it's hard not to win. So it's been great.
So let's talk about that, because you made a good point. If you're plugged in and working, it's hard not to win. So, okay, that sounds easy, right? It sounds easy, but what does that mean to you? What do you see across your agency, and how does it pertain to that comment? When you're plugged in, it's hard not to win.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people that are asking for help, they got SOS, which is shiny object syndrome. And that's when they're always chasing the newest shiny object, right? There's this thing floating out there, and then they see one of their friends post about this opportunity, and then they saw this one Facebook ad about this thing, and there's all this distractions in front of us all the time to keep us distracted. And I think the hardest part about this business is just learning the basics and falling in love with the mundane, because it is the same stuff over and over and over again that makes you money. It doesn't magically just get super duper exciting. Like dial a day is long, right? But it is a necessary evil if you want to earn 400 plus $1,000 a year. And I say evil relatively because, I mean, if the trade-off is you're going to earn multiple six figures just to sit there and dial the phone, not really that bad compared to a lot of what else is out there. So I think just mastering the mundane and trying to stay away from SOS, shiny object syndrome. We have all the training on YouTube already. We have all the training in boot camp. There's calls just like this agency call going on multiple times per day, every single day, with all the different agencies within FFL. So if you just get good at putting stuff into your calendar, if you get good about mastering the mundane, get good about sticking to your schedule that you actually lay out for yourself, this business becomes very predictable. And if it takes you 2, 4, 6 months to get to the point where it feels predictable, awesome. You just took 2 to 6 months to get yourself set up for the rest of your life. But so many people have this short-term mindset. They're not willing to set themselves up for the long run. So there's a lot to break down there, but it's just, having that long-term.
So let's talk about a few things in there, because I like what you said, right? There's the shiny object syndrome. And I think a lot of people come here and think it's just going to be sunshine and rainbows and it's just easy and you walk in the park. Well, at the end of the day, you still got to work, right? But Alex, what would you say to the agents that, like, because you said, you got to get good at the mundane, right? I think that was the phrase you used, but I think one of the key aspects is dial day, right? So how do you help someone that makes 100 calls, or there's fear of making calls, to really put themselves in a position to do what some of these agents are doing, 30, 40, 50K a month? How do you coach them on that? How would you help somebody?
Yeah. So I think it all comes down to mindset. I think if you have the right mindset, the actual calls itself is not difficult. So for me, like as a manager talking to a new agent, I want to make sure they know that they have a certain belief level that 20K a month, 30K a month is normal here. Like I know that maybe, in different jobs, different industries, that's like CEO, corporate executive kind of stuff. Here, that's normal. And so if someone says, hey, you can make 20, 30K a month, and they don't believe it from day one, their work ethic is going to match their lack of belief, which is bad. We don't want that. We want them to understand that that's the normal here. If you're full time, 20 to 30K a month is you paid should be what you're doing month in and month out if you're full time. Once you wrap your belief level around that, it's just about the habits at that point. And habits is something that you do even when you don't feel like doing it, right? That's the difference between a habit versus an action. An action is something you do because you're in the mood for it, right? So you're all excited for your first dial day, you get up and you do it. That's an action. Habits come from doing the actions over and over again. So 4 months down the road, after you just had a crappy week, you have the habit of still going into the CRM. You still spend your $1,200 on leads. You still wake up at 6:45 so you can start dialing by 7:55. That's where the habits take over. And it takes about 28 to 40 days to build those habits. And once you got those habits built up, the habits is what's going to make you a fortune in the long run.
Yeah, that's so true. I like to compare that to like muscle memory, right? Like, so, you don't, like if I use sports analogies too. So like, if a basketball player stopped shooting for a while, those habits down the road, the behavior that he did, right? The 100 shots that he's made in a day per day becomes that habit. And now that muscle memory takes over. It's just keep shooting. So,
Yeah.
All right. So mindset, 20, 30K a month, right? Like that should be the norm. Now, not, some people are there, some people aren't. Let me ask you this, because I think one of the things that there's two struggles for folks that I see, and there's obviously more than two, but there's two different elements of struggles, right? So there's the selling struggle, and the selling struggle typically could be booking enough appointments to see enough families to make the money you want to make, right? And it's only a few components in there. It's either you're not buying enough leads, you're not making enough dials, or you just need to get better at your skill. It's like one of those few things to start seeing more people. Would you agree?
Absolutely. 100%.
It's that simple, right? It's you need the leads. If you're buying the leads, great. Are you booking enough appointments? Are you making enough calls? If you are, you're making enough calls and you're just not booking, then it's a skill set. But if you're not making the dials, then you got that issue. Well, let's talk about building a little bit as well, right? So how do we help top producers become builders? Because I think one of the things that sometimes people get stuck at is they're also producing at a high level, but they have that transition or trouble transitioning into becoming a builder. So you got some real top producers on there that are building on your agency, and obviously you've built an agency. What can you share with people that are looking to build an agency, and have found their rhythm on the building side?
Okay, I think that's good. I think that similarly to how when we're working our insurance leads, eventually the math becomes predictable. I know if I buy 100 leads and I do 300 dials, I'm going to book 15 appointments, sit with 10 families, close 6. Like eventually the math just becomes the same week in and week out. I think you got to apply that same kind of mindset to building, where so many people, they introduce 2 of their buddies and their 2 buddies fall out, or one of them takes their exam but then never really goes through contracting, and they say, oh well, I guess building isn't for me, I'm kind of scared to share it to my 3rd friend or my 4th friend. And it's like that's like the equivalent of buying 2 instant internet leads and then hoping that those 2 you're going to go 2 for 2. Like it's just not realistic. And so there was a stat that Sean said, actually Stephen Yee said at the Phoenix conference, where he was just like, and I'm a big numbers guy, so I like to use numbers to kind of create predictability and take the emotion out of it. He was saying within his agency, from an unlicensed hire going all the way through the process and submitting their first piece of business, he said there was a 68% conversion rate within his agency for warm market. So that'd be like you hiring a buddy, or John Kennedy hiring his buddy. 68% of the time, a warm market unlicensed hire goes through and submits at least one piece of business. Compare that to 14% of the time for cold market. So pros and cons to both. Pros of warm market is a much higher conversion rate. The cons is that there's only so much warm market, right? The flip side of that is that the pros of the cold market is that there's an unlimited amount of prospects out there. The cons are you just got to spend the money to get to them. And so once you kind of wrap your head around and you take the emotion out of the business, instead of trying to get lucky and going 5 for 5, instead of trying to get lucky and getting, 40 cold market leads for a month and wondering why I didn't go 20 for 40. Why don't I have 20 new writers out of that? Statistically, you're going to get 14% out of that. So you're probably going to get about maybe, 5 to 7 out of that 40, right? So I think once you learn the numbers and you just embrace the numbers, it becomes easy to become unemotional about this. And then scaling and building is just no different than the insurance sales. It's just a matter of putting your time and your money into the places to get those numbers up and up and up. Not the conversion rate, because we know the conversion rate is what it is, but the amount of exposures up and up and up from both your warm market and your cold market.
So what I hear you saying there is treat it just like you're selling. Make sure you have leads, right? And understand the numbers from where your leads are generated. If it's cold market, you're going to have to go through more leads to get the people to convert. If it's warm market, you can speak to less people and have more efficiency of getting them through and more of a higher conversion rate. But how many warm market people do you know?
Right. Exactly.
So,
there's only so many.
Yeah. And so guys, if you're listening to this and when should you invest? You should invest when you have money. Like, everyone knows their situation better than the other, but you have $1,000 a month you can invest in leads. Let's talk about that. We'll help you because we do it. That's what me and Alex do. You have more, that's great. Like whatever you can invest is what you can invest. But if you don't invest into building your business will never be built. Or go at a very slow pace. Would you agree, Alex?
100%. And a quick story on that. Sometimes you need to start before you think you're ready. And that's what I did. So for me, when I first started this business, I did not take it as seriously as I should. And that's my only regret with FFL. My first 6 months, I averaged 8 to 12,000 issue paid per month, which now you hear that and it's just like,
wow.
It's like, oh, I missed opportunity
right now.
I know that's like a week now, right? But straight up, I was lazy. I didn't take it as seriously as I should have. I cared way too much about golf, not enough about my future, and I own it. And that's part of my story, and that's why I share it with you guys so you don't make the same mistake. But month 7 is the first month I hit 20K. And that's because Sean told me in month 6, it's a shame you're so talented and you're so lazy because you should be doing 20, 30, 40 every month. And I'm like, all right, Sean, I'll show you what I got. So I went out and did 22 in month 7. Month 8, I hired my first staff. And I literally at the time I had one person in the pipeline, Juan Rivera. I had 0 people on my team. I was the only writer. I had one person in the pipeline. I hired my first staff at $300 a week. I told them that they were going to help me with recruiting and building an agency. And when we sat down for training, she goes, okay, what do you want me to do? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to find some people for you to talk to because now I'm on the hook financially. I'm paying you $300 a week regardless to work part-time for me, but I'm not going to pay you just to sit around. I need to put you to work. So it forced me to keep writing 20K a month. So I was forced to have enough money to buy some hiring leads through Facebook ads, through ZipRecruiter. And I don't know if I had hired that first staff, if I would have started growing when I did. Maybe it would have just stayed lazy and comfortable for another 3, 4, 5, 6 months. But putting myself in an uncomfortable position where I was forced to spend money, I was like, hey, like I got to make something happen here. Otherwise, I'm going to be out of money here. I got to start writing more. I got to start hiring more because now I'm out of pocket. So sometimes that little extra push you need wherever you're at, however long you've been in this business, don't wait 6, 7, 8 months to get uncomfortable and take that leap. And if you are 6, 7, 8 months in, learn from my story and start today. But if you're in this less than 6 months, get uncomfortable now. Put yourself out there with some hiring leads, consult with your Clay or Julius or whoever your manager is, but don't wait until the time is right or until I start writing more, because sometimes forcing yourself into a situation where you're forced to perform is actually that level up you're looking for all along. So
now, Alex, how old are you?
26.
26. So what kind of I mean, did you have some business experience before here? Like, were you like tell us your background? Cause I don't know if everybody knows.
Yeah, I did network marketing from like 17 to 20 years old. So if
Mhm.
you count that as business experience, like my biggest month was $1,600. So I
Yeah,
did
it's
network
not early.
marketing, and then a little bit of the biggest thing I did was digital marketing. So I worked with clients and helped them build websites, run ads. And at my peak, I had like 10 clients and I was billing like 12,000 a month, which for 21 years old was pretty good, but just wasn't fulfilling for me.
Yeah. Okay. So this is your first like real big business deal, right? And so
Absolutely.
you didn't have, I mean, is it fair to say that you've learned, a lot about yourself and then what you're able to do just by doing it and kind of what FFL presents?
100%. I mean, I just look back at the person I was even just 12 months ago when I thought I was seriously building back in April of last year. And we just hit vice president April of last year as an agency. And I fast forward to April of this year, where instead of doing 151, we did 737. Like you got to become a different person to have that kind of growth, the systems in
Mhm.
place, the staff in place. You literally are forced to grow. So it's like if you're waiting until you're going to grow to like start taking more action, don't wait. Like doing the action is how you actually grow.
That's right. At whatever pace too, right? I mean, some people are ready to run and some people are going to take a few steps at a time, right? So there's no
Mhm.
wrong answer. But if it's your goal, let's get to it, right? Um, all right. So let me ask you this, Alex. I think I want to kind of pivot back to the selling side. Okay. I want to help some of the new agents on here too. And I know we kind of went back and forth, but I want to make sure we're kind of talking through this. What do you do to get people started? Because we see you guys constantly have new writers coming up every single week and month, right? So are there any tips that you can share with all of us as we're growing, what you guys do to help people get started quicker?
Mhm. Um, I think because we are going through more numbers in like terms of cold market, with like zip recruiter budgets, things like that, it allows us to be a bit more selective with the people we're hiring. So we're not hiring losers anymore. We've learned to like not hire the losers. And the flip side of that is we could determine if they're a loser or not by setting proper expectations, right? Because someone could sound maybe like they're kind of iffy, but then when you tell them what they got to do, they go do it in 3 days.
Mhm.
Hey, I got to go book my exam as soon as we get off the call. And they text you 20 minutes later, their exam is booked. And it's like, honestly, didn't expect that from them, but here we go, right? They just booked their exam right away, like they were supposed to. And then they go study and they pass first try in 8 days. You're like, okay, that person surprised me, right? They're proving it with their actions, not their words. And so I think setting proper expectations and then like, not dragging people through the mud across the finish line. Um,
What do you mean by
if you
that?
set So what I mean by that is like, let's say you're getting someone signed up for class and you say, all right, as soon as we hang up the phone here, I need you to go book your exam and send me a confirmation that that's done. Can you do that
Mhm.
in the next 30 minutes? Yes. Okay, great. I'll be looking for your text. Click. A day goes by, 2 days goes by. Hey, Mark, did you die? Is everything okay? No, I didn't die. Why? What's
Die.
up? Oh, you were going to text me when you booked your exam. Oh, yeah, I got busy. Strike one, right? Like you could just tell through their actions
Yeah.
immediately. And it comes up in more than just that. It comes up in people rescheduling their exam. It comes up in people saying they'll do their assurance pay today and they don't do it till next week. It comes up in people saying, yeah, I got the phone scripts. And then you go to role play and they don't even know where to find the phone scripts because they didn't do boot camp. So you'll just be able to tell through people's actions who's serious and who's not, because the process isn't hard, right? You pass an exam, you have contracting staff or emails or something to walk you through insurance bay. It takes an hour with HTMS insurance bay,
Mhm.
and then you go to the boot camp and you just click through it step by step, and like that's it. It's not hard. Like we're not like trying to like make organic organisms and biochemistry and like it's not that hard. So if people can't follow simple instructions, they're going to prove it through their actions. And eventually I just like stop reaching out to people because if I ask them to do something and multiple times they don't do it, and the only time they do something is when I reach out to them, that to me is when I'm just like, this person isn't serious. And most of the time, once I stop messaging them, they disappear. which they would have done anyway unless you were their boss. And that's just not the people we're looking for. We're looking for the motivated people that could be self-employed and go out there and want to make a living for themselves. So being selective, setting proper expectations, not dragging people through the mud because you're desperate for people will make your job a lot easier in the long run when you work with the right people.
Dude, that's imagine if you knew that when you first started recruiting.
Bro, I still have this guy, Daryl. I swear to God, I got on 5 lead strategy calls with Daryl, all 5 times to buy leads, and the dude never bought leads. Like, I was just desperate to get a writer. I'm just like, all right, man, this is the time. We're gonna go in the CRM. And he had an excuse why he couldn't do it. Versus the people who were just like, hey, Alex, I just bought 50 leads. I do it right. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even know you were buying leads, but they just took the initiative themselves. So you just tell the difference in people.
It's so funny. And your perspective changes as your belief level goes up and you know more and you're exposed to more and you can help more people. Right. And so I think that, that's what I'm hearing from you, right, is you're able to help more people because now you've been through it and you know what works and what doesn't work,
Absolutely. 100%.
So,
And there's this one saying with Tony Robbins, excuse me, that's like really stuck with me. He says a lot of people think you need to be a certain type of individual in order to do the work and have the results you want, when it's actually the inverse. Instead of be, do, have, it's have, be, do. You've got to put yourself in the frame of mind that I already have the results I want. Therefore, I'm going to do the work to get it so I can be the kind of individual. So flipping, instead of waiting for the right moment or the right time or to be the right person, do the actions first. And through doing the actions, you become the individual and get the results you want. It's inverse.
That's true. That's true. It's, that's so solid. That's such good advice, man. I appreciate you. Any last things you want to leave our people with today?
Yeah, man. I mean, the FFL Republic, you guys are like this group is probably one of my favorite groups to just kind of watch because like Julius, we met, I think we were both like a month into the business at convention 2019. And I was just like, hi, I'm Alex. And I'm like, how long you been here? Oh, I'm just checking it out for the first time. I'm like, hey, me too.
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of see the growth over the last 2 years and the leader that you've become, like your leadership and your ability to lead from the front, it personifies and it shows through the quality of the people that you have. So you've got an amazing group of people, and if I'm not vocal enough, I'm big fans of like all of you guys, especially like 600K Clay, like Erica, Darla, like Aline, John, all of you guys. I love watching you guys. And if there's ever any other way that I can help you guys, please feel free to reach out to me individually, because we're all one team. We're all Sean Mike's team. And you guys have an amazing leader in Julius. If you didn't know that, you do. Literally one of the best in the whole company. Absolutely is going to be an integrity partner. And that's not something that's taken lightly. There's a lot of groups in FFL, and there's a lot of groups that would be better served if they had someone like Julius. So you guys are in good hands with Julius. Listen to what he says. He will never lead you down the wrong path. And anyone can do this. So you guys are definitely on the right track.
Well, I appreciate your kind words, and I'm humbled by it genuinely. And we just got a good group of people. We got a great group of people here. We got a bunch of hardworking people, good people that are doing right by others. And I think that's what it takes, is just getting good people together, doing it as a team. And that's what it is, right? It's, we're all on a mission to help others, right? And we're serving people by either today, Alex, thank you for serving us with your knowledge and your wisdom, and you've inspired a bunch of people. And I think you've given us a ton of value today that a lot of people can grow from, whether it's going out there and writing some business or building an agency. And so thank you for that, man. Thank you for your time today. And man, it's been a fun ride, and it feels like it's just getting started, right? We're only 2 years into this thing. We met, I remember the meeting at the conference that was at Grady's little meetup when, guys, we met at Grady's meetup. Grady had a team of like, how many people were there? 30, 40 people, 50 tops?
Yeah, 20 to 30 people, I think, tops.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it was just a handful of people, wasn't a bunch of people. And this is, 2019. And now look at us, 2021. He had over 500 writers, right? So it's like, this thing can snowball for any one of us. And the difference is, the person who's going to continue to work, the person who's going to continue to evolve and work on themselves and do their best to help others. Because I think it was Andrew that I heard say this, and you probably heard this, Alex, the person that provides and helps more families and provides more values to others soon eventually gets paid for that, right? And so it's,
Yep.
whether it's on the client side or on the agent side and building, it's just helping people one way or another. And so guys, we're proud to be in business with you. Alex, thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate you pouring into us. And let's see you guys all at the top of the leaderboard.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right. Later.